Sega. Oh, love that logo. Hey, what's up everyone? So no, unfortunately this is not a video with just Sonic reviewing gameplay footage, although that would be fun and awesome and somebody should definitely do that. Instead, this is a tutorial to show you how I got this VTubing setup running through Unity and OBS using the Rokoko motion capture system. So right now I have my Rokoko Smart Suit Pro, my smart gloves. I'm running our Rokoko facial motion capture app on an iPhone, and you can actually see on the this way the alien has facial motion capture working because it's rigged with the Apple ARKit blend shapes. But yeah, what's happening right now is basically I'm streaming all of this motion capture live to Unity, and then I am just using a couple OBS windows in order to put up my characters on the screen. You know, the quality on the alien is a little bit wonky because I've got both Sonic and the alien up in this scene, but we'll get into all of that in the tutorial. And but yeah, hopefully this will be useful and fun, and so let's get into it. Okay, a few things before we start. One, if you want to do facial motion capture streaming, so like the alien over here, you're going to need a character that is rigged with blend shapes. Our facial motion capture system works by blend shapes, and so if you want to know more about what facial blend shapes are, we've put a couple links in the description below that you can check out, but basically they are, blend shapes that are on your mesh, which match up to the Apple ARKit blend shapes, and so you can drive the facial performance of this alien using the Apple ARKit. So this is that screen that you see over here. That is my iPhone, and it's running to the alien, and that is just copying, what it's seeing in this app. This Sonic character, I just found a model off of Sketchfab for free. I rigged it on Mixamo. I threw it in Unity, and it doesn't have the facial blend shapes, but you can see that this workflow with the fingers and body and everything works completely fine just with a character that doesn't have the facial blend shapes. So you don't need to use these facial blend shapes. A lot of robots, for instance, maybe they don't have a face, and you could do VTubing with like a robot or something like that. The other thing that I'll mention just before we get started is that I'm currently standing. I've found the best way for this workflow to work is you want to be standing. If you're sitting, the way that our motion capture system works, you might start getting a little drift, or it might start acting a little bit wonky. So what I recommend, if you're interested in this VTubing setup using the Rokoko motion capture system, is you're going to want to be standing during your streams. Although there are a couple workarounds where you can be sitting. It just kind of depends on what you're trying to do, and we'll get into all of that. And then, of course, the last thing is just that this is one of many workflows that you could probably figure out using our suit and Unity. So there might be a more efficient or a higher quality way to get this going. But this is just one method that you could use that's relatively, not that expensive for your computer in terms of computing power to get up and running. Because especially if you're going to be gaming at the same time, you don't really want to be exporting a 4K stream out of Unity. This is just running off of the play window in Unity, and so it's pretty simple, and that's just a caveat. There might be a more efficient way to do this, and we'll be getting into that in future videos. So this is one workflow to get this working. Okay, without further adu, let's get into it. So we are going to start, from scratch, and we're going to build this project up. Again, this isn't super complicated, but we're going to go from, the very start so that we can walk through every single step. So the first thing I'm going to do is just open up my Unity hub. I'm going to create a new project, 3D. I'm going to call it, Unity VTuber. Hit enter. Okay, here we are in Unity, and I moved my window a little bit just so I'm not blocking anything here. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go and download the Rokoko plugin and import it into this Unity project. So I'm going to find that on the Asset Store. So I'll go to Window, Asset Store, which is now moved online. I'll go Search Online. Here we go, it'll open it up. I'm going to search just for Rokoko. Here we go. Click on Rokoko, and then I'm going to click Open in Unity. And so that will open up our package manager, and we'll be able to import Rokoko Live. So here's Rokoko Live. I've already downloaded it because I've done this before. I'm going to click Import and Import All. Okay, we are imported. You can see we have our assets down here. I'm going to close the package manager. I'm going to close the asset store tab because we don't need them. And then I'm going to open up Rokoko. I'm going to open up the scenes folder. And first we're just going to take a look at this Rokoko plugin example scene. And I'll open it up. And so at this point we can jump into Rokoko Studio and get our actual mocap system up and running. Okay, so here we are in Rokoko Studio. You can see everything looks a little bit funky because I've just turned on my smart suit and my smart gloves, but I haven't assigned them to an actor profile yet. So I'm going to add my actor profile, which basically just has my height. I'm going to add my gloves in here, each glove, and I'm going to add in my smart suit. And now we have something that's much more human looking, right? This looks right. And so what I've done for this tutorial is I currently have treadmill mode on. And so what that means is that when I move around, my avatar is not going to move. It's locked in at the origin point by my hip. So I could turn that off if you wanted to, you know, have a VTubing stream where you were moving around. I just turn on this locomotion. And once I do that, right, I can move away from the origin point and everything. However, we want our character to be standing still. And so I'm just going to turn on that treadmill and leave it on. So especially if you plan on sitting down during your streaming, I would have this treadmill filter turned on. We can sit down and you might see what could start happening. But in general, again, as I said in the intro, I would recommend standing for this workflow. It just makes everything a little bit cleaner because our system runs off of foot contact with the ground, right? And you can see that as soon as I'm sitting, we might start getting a drifting foot or something, which is not really what you want. But now let's turn on our facial capture system using our iPhone here. And this is just an iPhone 10. And so I'm going to open up the Rokoko remote. Boop. And as soon as I do that, you'll see that we get this little green dot over here. And I'm just going to hit connect. Then we'll get a prompt on our iPhone and I will hit accept. And then I will turn on face capture, this little toggle down here. And you can see that we have our facial capture here. And so I'm just going to put this little Joby over here. And it actually does a really good job even at a pretty far distance. So this should be okay. But I still need to assign this to our actor profile. So I'm going to throw it up and there you go. So now we have our body, gloves, facial motion capture all up and running. And the last thing we need to do to get this streaming out to Unity is we need to turn on our live streaming. So we will go down to Start Live Stream, and then we will click on the Unity button, and you can see here that our port is 14043. So that will be important once we jump back into Unity. So you can also change that port number just by clicking on this gear icon, and we turned it off by accident, by clicking on this gear icon, and then you can change this port number if you want. I don't want to, 14043 is fine, and so I'm gonna leave it as it is, and you can see that right here. So I'll exit out of this, and you can see that we might need to do a little calibration. So I'll do that, hit calibrate, there we go. And you can see our facial capture will just pick us back up as soon as we come back into frame. But now if we jump back into Unity, and remember we started up this Rokoko example scene, and if we just hit play right away, there you go. We'll get our avatar from Rokoko Studio into Unity. And so this is just a good way to test to make sure your system is running. If we open up this Studio Manager here, you can see that our receive port is set to that 14043. And again, that that 14043 that we saw in the live streaming settings. And you can see this foot drift a little bit. And so that's why I recommend maybe you stand for something like this. But yeah, everything is coming across, very little latency. Looks great. We can actually zoom in a little bit more here. Yeah, everything working. So the question is now, how do we get all of this mocap streaming onto a character that we've imported, right? So I'm going to stop this, and I am going to go to this other scene that we have down here. I'm going to move my window here. And you can see this other scene, which is Rokoko plugin example scene custom actors. So let's open this one up. I'm not going to save. We don't need to. So you can see as soon as we open this up, this is kind of a similar scene. We have the studio manager with our receive port, which we always want to make sure is 14043. And then we have a couple of these avatars. And I'm going to get rid of these guys because we don't need them. We're going to be using custom avatars or characters. And we also have a full tutorial on how to get live streaming set up within Unity. This is covering that, but if you want to, know more about that process, the link will be in the description below, and you can go watch that tutorial. And that really covers all of this live streaming and exactly how to get this all set up. We're interested both in live streaming and in how to get OBS working, with a green screen filter so that we have our avatar and we can put it up on screen for like Twitch or something like that. So we have our example scene, custom inputs open. And I'm just going to right click in here, and I'm going to import new asset. And so I have this character, and this is a Daz character actually that I converted to have 52 Apple ARKit 52 blend shapes. So we will also put that video in the description below if you want to check that out. But essentially there's a way for you to get a Daz character and get it re-rigged with the 52 Apple ARKit blend shapes. You can also use characters that don't have the Apple ARKit blend shapes. It's just a little bit more work in Unity to get our mocap talking with that model. And we'll take a look at the blend shapes in a second. But if I click on, so I just imported my alien here, and if I click on it, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Rig in our inspector, and we're going to set the animation type to humanoid, and we're going to click Apply. After it's done thinking for a second, it will be applied, and now we can drag this character into our custom inputs little drop down here. And so this is untextured. I'll jump into a project where I've gone ahead and retextured this model, but for now we just want to see how this is going to be working with retargeting the mocap. And how do we do that? So if I select the character in our hierarchy here, we need to add a component, and we're going to add an actor component. And so this component, again, when we imported the Rokoko plugin from the asset store, these components were added to the project, and so you can add an actor component. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to change this profile name to our actor profile name in Rokoko Studio. So that was Sam, and we'll take a look at that when we jump back into Rokoko Studio in a second, but it was just my name, Sam. And then we need to look at the bone mapping. And so this character was just exported out of Daz, and so the bone mapping was all done automatically for us. And so if we want to do, if we have a character where this isn't loaded up automatically, and we could go in and do this custom. And basically what that would require is we just go to bone mapping, change it from animator to custom, and you can see that we could fill out this whole skeleton just using custom bone names in case they weren't automatically filled out. If we hit copy from animator, you'll see that it fills out all of these bones automatically for us. But again, if it didn't, then we could go in and we could manually fill out this information for our character. The other thing that we could do is, especially with that drifting and everything that we were talking about, we could remove this hip retargeting, and that would ensure that no mocap is being done you know, on our hips. We could do the same thing like for our legs. If we just wanted the upper body of the character, we would just go in, we would click, you know, that little targeting button, and we just go to none and exit out. See, now it has none. But we do want the hips, and so I'll hit copy from animator, and actually what I'm gonna do even is just reset this to animator to keep everything clean because it picked everything up automatically. So if we want the Apple AR kit blend shapes to be picked up, we'll go to this actor face, and again, optional, because a lot of models, you know, they aren't rigged with these blend shapes, and that means that you're not going to be able to do this facial motion capture, which is fine. I think there's a lot of use cases for this VTubing setup where you don't have the facial motion capture working. I still think that you could do some really interesting things, again, just with having Sonic like hanging out, or Mario, you know, a model that you found from Sketchfab or Turbo Squid or whatever that doesn't have these blend shapes, which is a lot more involved than just a standard model that you rigged on Mixamo. And we'll do this with Sonic too in a second. So, however, this character, this model, does have these facial blend shapes. So I'm going to hit create, and you can see that it creates a new little component here, face script, and this blend shape mapping, because this character has the Apple ARKit blend shapes, we can just leave this at ARKit. If you had, say, a Character Creator 3 character that didn't necessarily have all the blend shapes named in the Apple ARKit format, we could go to Custom, and we could fill out those blend shapes by ourselves. You know, we would just type in here the blend shape from the Character Creator character, and then it would transfer over this data, you know, from our iPhone app to those blend shapes. So it doesn't have to be exact, but if it isn't, you know, exact naming in terms of the Apple ARKit blend shapes on your character, but if you don't have those blend shapes named exactly as the Apple ARKit blend shapes, you're going to have to enter them in manually. So again, this character does have the Apple ARKit blend shapes, so we can just leave it at ARKit. And now let's go back to our Rokoko Studio and see if we need to do another calibration, which we probably will. Doesn't look too bad. Still pretty much working. So let's go back into Unity and we'll hit play. And there we go. We have all of our mocap being retargeted, you know, live, and this is looking really good. Yeah, all of our blend shapes are working. Our facial motion capture is working. Yeah, this all looks really good. And again, you know, there's no collision data, so my arms can go through, especially these long alien arms, they can go through my body, but you would just, you know, that's a part of it. And you could also set up collision data for these arms so that, you know, they wouldn't be able to pass through the body. But that's just something that you're going to have to do in Unity, and it has less to do with this retargeting of the mocap. That's what this tutorial is focused on. And yeah, you can see the hands are working, even though there's only 4 fingers, 3 fingers and a thumb. But yeah, it filled everything out automatically for us, and this is all working. Blink, blink, blink. There we go. Okay, so let's hit pause. And now let's go grab this Sonic character. So I'll go import a new asset. And I'm just going to go back into my big models folder here with all this chaotically named stuff, but I have Sketchfab Sonic. And so this was just an OBJ that I found on Sketchfab that I downloaded. I just rigged it up on Mixamo. I put it in Mixamo, added some bones, and if we add it, we will click on the character, change it to humanoid. Remember, that's the first thing we do. Hit apply. We will add it into our custom inputs. He's really tiny. Let's zoom in here. Ooh, little tiny Sonic. So let's make him a lot bigger. We're just gonna click on Sonic right here and scale him up to say 50, 50. No, let's say 300, 300. Nope, that's too much. 100, 100, 100. Okay, that's fine. And so if we want to add that same actor component that we just did for the alien, we would click on our Sonic model here, add component, actor. Again, we want to change this profile name to Sam. But this Sam right here, that is what we are changing that demo field profile name, which said demo profile. We want to change that to Sam. And again, because this was Mixamo and the bones are really standard, we don't have to do any custom bone remapping. It just picks it up automatically. If we go to custom and we want to see what the bones are, hit copy from Animator, you can see that they're all the Mixamo bones. So any model from Mixamo in a T-pose, this will work with. And so again, I'm just going to set this back to Animator because we don't need it to be custom. And because I changed the name to Sam, hit play. And let's move Sonic up a little bit here. Save. And let's go back into Rokoko Studio and do a calibration pose and actually stand up. And so now if we go back into Unity and we hit play, there we go. Everything's working. We can move this camera around and we are live streaming these characters out to Unity. So at this point, I'm going to jump into another project just because I've retextured my characters, which is, you know, in Unity, the texture is often you have to remake the materials and add them back onto the character. But let's jump into that other project that's already retextured, and then we will work on the OBS component of this. So how do you get, you know, a clean, live streamable kind of avatar that you could put in the corner of the screen, you know, down there, like while you're gaming or something like that. So let's jump into the other project. Okay, so here we are in the other project. Everything is textured and ready to go. We got our Sonic, we got our alien. And as you can see, what I've done here is basically I've just added a plane to the scene and I've put it behind our characters. And this is just with a standard green texture applied to this plane. And what this is going to do is just basically act like a green screen, because OBS has a lot of great functionality for keying out green screens. So our goal is basically, if we hit play here, you can see that we have our characters. Now we just need to set up, you know, get our camera into position, and we'll work on our alien first here. But we just need to set up a window in OBS that is going to allow us to key out this green screen, and then we'll have an avatar, and we can just stream out from OBS, you know, to Twitch or to YouTube Live or whatever it is. So let's launch OBS. I'm going to launch another instance of it because I'm recording it. You know, I'm using OBS right now to record the screen, so I'm going to launch another instance. And what we're going to do, and this looks a little bit weird, you know, with the infinite screen here, because it's recording itself. But what we're going to do is we're going to add a window capture. I'm going to call it Unity Alien. We're going to select you know, Unity as the window. Hit OK. And now, if we go to that Unity Alien and we right-click on this window capture, and again, it's, you know, it's just capturing the Unity window. We right-click on this window capture. We go down to filters. We can add, by hitting this plus, a filter. We can add a, where is it? A color key. Don't need to name it. And we're going to leave it at green. But you'll see as soon as we start tweaking this similarity, oh, now we're just keying out that green screen. And so what we can do is we'll key out that green screen. If you have a green character, of course, that's a problem. But we don't have a green character, so we can do this. We're going to hit close. And now we can just essentially, and I'm gonna turn off the display capture. But what we can do is in OBS, if you hold down Alt, you can crop that capture window. So I'm just going to crop out everything. And there we go. Now we have our alien character. you know, just set up in the side of our screen here. And if we wanted to, you know, open up, what should we open up? So if we wanted to turn that, you know, display capture back on, this is confusing, but if we opened up that Sonic video, you know, and opened that, made that full screen, you could see in our OBS that we have our character, you know, sitting on our screen here. And I can actually, this is a little confusing because there's this OBS here, you're getting this feedback loop. But essentially what you would have in OBS is, you know, you would just have the background of whatever you were watching, and then you would have, you know, your avatar overlaid on it. And basically you're just keying out that green screen. So that's essentially this workflow. And so what I'll actually do is I'm going to close this instance, and I'm going to, in the instance that I'm running, I'm going to open up, I have a Unity capture window here, so you can see both me and the alien. And yeah, the coolest thing about this is that I can go into Unity, and if you have someone, you know, driving this in real time, I could like move the camera, and now we have Sonic. And so this really opens up a lot of interesting options in terms of streaming, because with Unity, you know, you can move the camera around, we could have physics working, we could get collisions working, and so you could do a lot of really cool things with this setup. So hopefully that all makes sense. And again, we'll just, here, we'll open up this video so we don't have to look at that infinite loop. And that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. I know that this was kind of a lot, and it gets a little bit confusing with the multiple instances of OBS. But again, all you're doing is creating that green screen in Unity, and then you are keying out the, you know, what you see in Unity. And as long as you don't minimize that Unity window, you can have it on another monitor or whatever it is, and it you can just stream over, you know, YouTube videos or gaming or whatever you want. And because Unity is so low cost in terms of the actual running of Unity, it streams really quickly. You know, I've had, you know, Maya and Premiere open and like lots of different things open at the same time as Unity, and I can still maintain this very fast, you know, avatar on screen. And even if let's turn off my, you know, my camera here and move it over like a real proper streamer. And again, hold down Alt, we could crop out that little, see, that's the Unity interface right there. But yeah, now we can like, you know, just do some Twitch streaming or whatever it is. So again, hopefully this was helpful. You can do this workflow just with a Mixamo character without the facial capture. If you want to use the facial capture, you're going to need a character with those 52 blend shapes to use with our app. But yeah, put those questions in the comments below, and we will do our best to answer them. And we will be doing lots more content, you know, featuring this workflow in the future. We're going to do a Rokoko animation hour, so we'll be able to clear it up a little bit, hopefully, in some of those. And yeah, we're excited about this. This is really cool, we think. So we will see you for the next one. Stay tuned for more Unity content. And yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.